Hi, I'm Emilia.
And I'm Yvonne. Together, we wrote a book on female friendships, and boy, do we have questions.
We're here to continue the conversation and help women to navigate, cultivate, and celebrate female friendships.
This is Girl Friendships.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Girl Friendships.
I'm here. This is Yvonne. You noticed that Emilia is introducing this one.
Yes, I'm introducing this one. And today we're going to talk about friendship maintenance. So for the friends that we have...
don't bring me flowers anymore.
Yeah, it's all about we have these amazing friendships in our lives. How do we maintain them? How do we continue to maintenance? I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of a dry word for it.
Well, maybe a good way to think about it is, in the one of the back episodes, you waxed eloquent about making new friends and how intentional you were about it at that point in your life, and you had lots of examples, you and Jessica. So let's say you were giving that person who's just made a new friend, and let's say they're a bit younger, a primer on what is it you now need to do to maintain this friendship.
Yeah.
What would you include in that primer?
Yeah, I would say try to find some time to have a shared experience. So this could be something like, attending a talk together, or going to an event, or going to a concert. If you're just getting to know somebody, it could be as simple as just going to a coffee shop and learning more about each other. Yeah, and hanging out. Or inviting them to something, that you're already doing. Let's say you're hosting a barbecue or something. So number one is try to spend time with that person so that you get to know them a little bit better. And I think the best way to do that is not just, when you're sitting face to face and talking, but it's like, what if you go on a hike together? What if you, I think, I understand that in early stages, it might be really intimidating to ask somebody to go on a hike with you.
I would not go with you. I am telling you right now.
But thinking about the conversation that you had, because if you've decided to be friends with somebody, it's probably because you had a conversation with them. You found out you had some things in common. So think back to those things that you have in common and find a way to have a shared experience around that.
Huh.
So if they say that they love hiking, then do that. If they say they hate hiking, think of something else.
So, maintaining... I have questions. They're popping out of my head. So, at some point, I have made a decision that this person is going to be my friend, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that could happen within the space of 6 weeks, 2 weeks for you.
Could be 60 minutes. Could be 60 minutes, right? I want to get to know this person.
It's like, I really like this person. I want to be your friend.
Exactly.
Okay.
I want to make sure I see this person again in my life.
So at some point, where we're starting this episode, at some point, you or I have made a decision that this person is going to be part of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And we want to then look for ways to keep that friendship robust.
Yes. Well, and in some ways, even percolating in the beginning, right? Even just
Ooh, I'm sitting here bubbling like coffee.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of get it going and to to kind of start up that friendship and take it from, hey, it was nice to meet you, I really enjoyed our conversation, to let's get to know each other. Let's pursue this friendship in some way.
So in the initial early parts of the friendship, because you've discovered that this person you would like to get to know better and spend time with. So the next step would be to plan activities or to invite them to something that you enjoyed. Okay. So that could be something. And say we go to that thing now and we realize we enjoy it. What is the next thing we could do after that?
Yeah.
to keep that friendship?
Yeah, it's just
It sounds clinical, but
I know.
we go through phases with our friendships or stages.
Yeah. No, it's definitely true, like there's that initiation, there is kind of that next step where you have to kind of take it to another level, right? Where you get to know each other better. And yeah, I think beyond that, it's just a matter of, checking in with that person, trying to make plans again at some point. I think this is where people, depending on the stage of life, might stumble because it's hard to keep things going. And whether it's a long-time friendship or a new friendship, sometimes you don't have that much time to make plans.
But we're hoping in this process that it's a mutual reciprocal liking, right? You want to spend time with the person wants to spend time with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you're trying to integrate and include them in your life, and they're doing the same. And sometimes you're friends, but not close friends with someone, but something happens to kind of shift it. We talked about that. I remember driving it was a work colleague, and she volunteered to pick me up to go to wherever we were going, but it was like a long car ride. And I was slightly intimidated by her. She was a little bit older and whatever. And I'm thinking, we have nothing in common. She had kids when I had no kids. She had nothing in common other than we worked together. And we shared ideas in terms of how work should be done. But it was on that car ride that, after the car ride, I remember coming home and feeling like, wow, I feel really good. Like, wow, I didn't expect to have enjoyed this time with this person. And, wow, I think this is somebody I am going to want to spend some more time with. So when opportunities arrive for us to either fly together or whatever, we would go. Then we'd start to room together. And so it became, but there was that point, it was that car ride. I remember thinking, oh, I misjudged this person. We have a whole lot more in common than I first expected, and we shared similar values. So part of the maintenance of the friendship is wherever that point is in our decision, where we think this is somebody I want to keep close. Then there's actions with that decision. You always talk about intentionality. With that decision, there has to be intentions.
Yes, exactly. And intentions that you act on, you find some way to pursue. And as you said, hopefully it's mutual, right? That once you make plans or make a phone call or reach out to that person, that the next time the person will reciprocate it. And they may or may not, right?
They may or may not.
And not because they don't want to pursue a friendship with you, but this is definitely one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this episode is I think that we all go through periods of time where we can be more proactive in our friendships and periods of time when we're more reactive. And
elaborate.
Yeah, I will elaborate. So, proactive, I think back to, I don't know what it was, like 2013, 2014. I was literally calling up every single one of my girlfriends. I was like, okay, we must plan a vacation together because there is a limited time to do that, before we get married and we have kids, and everyone kind of has a more limited opportunity to do those things, right? So that was a period of time in my life where I was very proactive about my friendships. I was very proactive about reaching out, about making plans, about, finding fun things for us to do, connecting on a more regular basis, whether it was texting or phone calls or all those kinds of things. And then now I'm at a point or at a stage or at a season in my life where I'm a little bit more reactive about my friendships. And, I might not always be the one to initiate contact because I just feel like, I'm so hyper focused on my business and work and, other things going on in my life, such as being pregnant.
So by reactive, you're saying it's your friends, they're doing the reaching out?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I mean by reactive. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so that's the thing to think about, right? Like if you're at a point and you're kind of missing contact with your friends, is this a time when maybe you can try to be a little bit more proactive? And this might look different depending on the season of life that you're in. This might mean, you know, one of the things that I realized this year was so often I don't reach out to a friend if I'm not going to be able to see them in the near future. So for the next month, you know, I have plans and I won't be able to meet up with them, then I don't reach out because I'm like, well, why am I going to reach out if I can?
I want you to reach out. Yeah. Tell me, hey, just thinking about you today, busy.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't have to be a meetup. Maybe you can just have a phone call and plan that out, right?
Or
like
whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, you know, exchange some emojis, like whatever. I'm just joking about that one.
But that shows me that at least I'm on your radar. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I do have this one person that I used to work with who for every holiday, she sends me emojis. And I've tried to respond back and say like, oh yeah, you know, how are you doing? I'd love to catch up sometime. And she doesn't respond to that, but then she'll send me more emojis at the next holiday. I've yet to understand that.
She does not get your love language.
Well, I don't know that it's anybody's love language to just like be in touch with someone literally for years.
Well,
and just
don't get
send
us
each other
started on the
emojis,
people who
but
keep
yeah.
sending you these forwarded thingies. And,
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, just take time to say, hello, Yvonne. That's it. I want to see my name mentioned in a text message. Like, you know, to me, that's part of like, we call it maintaining our friendships, because acknowledging me, yes, I don't mind you sharing stuff, but if that's all you do, and it's not something you put thought in, you're just forwarding something just convenient. I want to see that you're investing in me.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I think maybe there are people in my life that are like, why does she always send me reels on Instagram but never like asks me what's up?
You're one of those.
I'm just hypothesizing that I could be, right? Because, you know, what seems normal to us isn't normal to someone else and vice versa, right?
So maybe in terms of the love, the maintaining our friendships, maybe part of that is, especially in the early days, pay attention. Pay attention. We sometimes are so busy with a party. I can be with a party that's going on in my head that I don't pay attention. But when I do take time to pay attention to the people in my life, I know what their needs are.
Yeah.
And I like to surprise them, you know, whether it's with gifts or words of affirmation, or say, I was thinking about you, I prayed for you today, whatever, like stuff like that is just good. So if we listen, it's our way of acknowledging that I see you, you're on this planet, and I am here for you. Yeah. So listening is the critical part. If the person is saying something and, sometimes I don't get things like people say till I'm lying in bed, right? Because that's when the brain catches up. Oh, their face didn't look quite right. So the next day or whatever, even that moment, I will say, are you okay? Because that's just kind of when I processed it. Yeah. Right? But at least that person will know I paid attention.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the second thing to add to that is, so pay attention. And then the second thing I think that I've learned is just reach out. Sometimes just to say hi, just to say, hey, you know, what's new? Or, you know, like people are on social media all the time. Like, why not just reach out and say, hey, you know, I noticed you got a new puppy, or, you know, how's that going? And just kind of checking in once in a while.
And it doesn't take a lot, because in my busiest time, I guess I'm pretty intentional about the people in my life. Like, I know I have Sunday mornings, it's usually my freer day. So I'll scroll through my WhatsApp messages. I'm old, so I do WhatsApp. And I will see, I haven't spoken to this person in a while. I haven't heard from this person in a while. And I literally will go through and 10, 14, whoever my spirit inspires me to reach out to, just to say, how are you? Just saying hello, whatever. But at least I'm thinking it doesn't take a lot of time to invest. Now, I know those people whose love language is quality time. Me sending a little text message to say hello is not quality time. But for me, because I believe in acknowledging people on the planet, it's a way to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hope you're okay.
Yeah. And it's also a bridge to that quality time in the sense that if you don't check in when you don't have a lot of time, then, you know, when you do have time and you know, oh, you know, my friend loves to hang out or spend some quality time with me. Well, now you haven't talked to her for months. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think that, you know, just remembering those moments where we can bridge the gap if we're busy and if things are going on, to sort of bridge that gap into that space where we might have more time and capacity.
With my friendship group, what I find sometimes, you know, there's my quad group, somebody will throw it, because we have a shared chat. Somebody would throw in and go, oh, it's been a long time since I heard from you guys. Mm-hmm. And then people will chime in, that kind of stuff. And then if you don't hear from one, because there's always one who is the last to respond or whatever. So sometimes they need a direct phone call. But pay attention, keep in touch, let people know that they matter. Yeah. And for me, because my love language is words of affirmation, you don't need to tell me this every single day, every time we meet. I don't need to be affirmed every time. But me just saying to people, just hi, how are you, thinking about you, to me is my way of saying, I remember you.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm so glad that you brought up group chats, because going back to your first point about listening, you know, people might have different ways that they like to communicate. They might have different ways of spending time with their friends or different likes, like different things that they like. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think it's so important to listen. And so even to your point about, you know, the friend that likes quality time, but all you have time for is just a quick text to say, hey, what's up? Mm-hmm. You can even acknowledge that sometimes. You can even say like, hey, you know, I know we haven't had time to like spend some quality time together. Or I know I haven't had time to like make plans, but I just wanted you to know that I'm thinking of you in this, you know, busy moment. And I really look forward to the next time when we can get together. Right. So even just acknowledging that and just remembering too that, you know, you might have preferred ways of keeping in touch, AKA group chats. I personally don't enjoy group chats because like they can be very useful for keeping in touch with like a larger group, like you know, we have a family chat, right? So it can be very useful for keeping in touch with a group and just kind of knowing what's going on with everybody. But at the same time, that's not my favorite way to build relationships, because there are things that I would say, you know, that I would share if it's like a one-on-one conversation versus like a one-to-many conversation, you know?
And you do that. For in my case, like I have a individual relationship with each of these women in my quad group, over and above. Yeah. But usually the group chat in our case was created so that when we have a planned activity, we could just have a quick way of communicating, because nothing grinds my gears than just having to repeat myself multiple times with the same information. So in there we throw, if we found a joke funny, or if, you know, something we just want to share, but it's just the ease of communication. So we could say, hey, I'm over here, or I could say I've been traveling a lot this summer, so we'll try to get together, blah, 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 right? Yeah, exactly. So it's acknowledging that I haven't forgotten you, but things are a bit crazy right now, and we'll get around to it one day.
Yeah. And I guess to that point, you know, something might not be your preferred method of communication or somebody else's preferred method of keeping in touch. But, you know, if you can kind of switch it up and just do kind of what works in the moment, and, you know, continuing to listen to acknowledge and other people so that you can like meet them where they want sometimes, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we talked about listening, paying attention. Paying attention is really, really important because then we'll notice somebody's love language. My personal favorite is that be nice, be kind, like just be a nice person so that people will want to hang around you, right? And sometimes we don't realize that selfishness motivates many of the things that we do, or we think we're nicer than we are. We think we're nicer than we are. I don't know if the person who is not nice thinks of themselves that way, but just be kind. Like, if I listen to you and if I pay attention to what matters to Emilia, then I am like, so to me, my kindness is going to extend from out of that. I know we're belaboring food analogies, but it's like if I notice you like scones, then the next time I'm at the store, I'm thinking, I'm going to see you shortly. I'm going to try to get some scones, or I'll send you a scone recipe. Like, if I, it's the paying attention that then motivates.
Yes. But, you keep using this word kindness, and I think kind is obviously an important word when it comes to friendships and being a good friend. But I'm also hearing the nuance of like empathy a little bit, like try to see things from the other person's perspective. So don't just do what you think is kind, but also, when you're paying attention and you're listening, you're doing that so that you can imagine things from their perspective and you can be kind in the ways that they, want somebody to be kind to them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So listening, paying attention, be a nice person. If you, what's the word? If you sow good, you'll reap good, ideally.
Yeah.
But treat others how you want them to treat you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the same way, it's with the same respect that you want them to treat you. Because sometimes we think, well, I've known you for so long, I don't need to respect you. I should respect you.
Yeah.
So I will not say or do anything because you don't matter. Like, my respect for you should show up in my kindness to you. Right? Because I esteem you so much that I am going to try to make sure that I preserve your selfhood as much as is within my power to do so.
Yes. And the other thing that I would add to that is sometimes it's possible that you're trying to maintain friendships by being too nice. And when I say too nice, I mean not having an opinion or not being authentic to who you are.
You're not preserving your own self.
Yeah. And people might still like you and have friendships with you, and I speak from experience. But at the same time, if you really want to have that sense of being truly loved by your friends and truly appreciated by your friends, then you do have to get more comfortable with vulnerability and authenticity, because otherwise what'll happen is you might have somewhere in the back of your mind that if you're not super nice or you're not super accommodating or you don't say whatever you think that person will agree with, then that person will drop you like a hat or drop you like a hot potato or something like that.
And that takes time.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Trust,
yes.
Because I've just met you, maybe we're a friendship. So as you grow and you do more things with the person, you listen, you pay attention, and you start, if you're more the reticent type, you start taking tentative steps into fuller disclosure of your authentic self, and it's accepted and received with respect. Then so if you have to be guarded, just be guarded, but just know that you can't be guarded for you should not be guarded for your whole friendship. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah. And people do earn your trust. Yeah. And or they should be able to.
So in the maintenance of the friendship, if over time you're finding that, we referred to this earlier, referred to it in the book, if you're doing all the giving forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, as long as you've had this friendship, then I don't know, ask yourself, what is it you're getting out of it? Because maybe you're just a giver who wants to give, and that's and you're okay with it. But if there's a little part of you, just even a little piece, that's saying, boy, I would like to be given too. I would like even an inkling of that investment to come my way, which I think is your due. That's what a true friendship is. Then you should ask for it, or you should say, well, this friendship is not feeding me. Because part of maintaining the friendship, if it's reciprocal, if it's not all the things we're asking you to do, we're expecting the other friend to be doing for you.
Yeah.
Right? And so it should be reciprocal. So that way you then have a solid friendship. And again, it's going to go through ebbs and flows, and as you move, as life change or whatever, but there should be a kernel in there where when I'm with this person, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I feel so much better. So I think that's what you should, in terms of maintaining the friendship. So put in the work, because it will require work. Nothing worth keeping is going to come without investment. So you're going
But don't make it all or nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Don't make it all or nothing.
Don't make it all or nothing. And just remember that this is one person and you're going to invest in that person. You may have other people. You need to balance your investment. So maybe part of that in maintaining a friendship is find a good balance for what makes sense for you.
Yeah. And also, if you find ways to bring your friends together, I think that's a really good way to, weather the kind of busier seasons of your life, is to find ways where you're not just meeting up with people one-on-one, but also including them in bigger plans so that they get to know each other, which is great for your friends.
Right.
And also just for you, because then you have more time to give, because now you've kind of multiplied your time by seeing multiple people at once.
Right. I have a friend who, I don't even know what it evolved into that, because I think there was a group of us who, with that group, she didn't feel as included. But I had a personal relationship with her. So, and I'm not going to get into the politics or the dynamics of why you feel the way you do or whatever. I'm going, okay, well, you and I will have some away time together.
Yeah.
And so that's what we planned. So it's become like an annual thing that we do. And I was listening to her a few weeks ago, and she was saying, that time is our time. Like for her, she wants that time guarded and preserved. So even if we do things with the bigger group, and it's once a year, I can do that once a year.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's usually fun. But so sometimes you can't do all the one-on-ones with people, and you could try to integrate groups, but sometimes some friendships don't travel into other groups that you have.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And for the ones that don't, if they're important to you, then you might have to find how you figure out how you
pockets.
Carve time
some
for
pockets
that
of time.
person somewhere else. And it could be once a year, once every 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
But, it really doesn't take as much time as we think.
No, I would definitely agree with that.
So if you want to be invested in, invest in others. Know when the investment is getting a little bit too much. But yeah, the idiom that says there's whatever, if one who has friends must show themselves friendly, I think it's still true. Show yourself friendly, listen, respect, be kind, pay attention, and invest. And I think if you do that with intentionality for all your friendships that you want to keep, just don't do it for the ones you don't want to keep, then by all means, there's a good chance that it will be reciprocated.
Yeah. Yep.
So on that note, go to it.
You've been listening to the Girl Friendships Podcast with Yvonne and
Emilia. Thanks for listening. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Leave a comment, please, to let us know your thoughts.
And come back next time for another episode of Girl Friendships.